Welcome to The Playing Field, the show where we debate about the biggest topic in sports. I'm your host, Matt Bishop, and joining me tonight are Dan I and Mitch Lamb. Gentlemen, let's begin in Kansas City, where the Chiefs kept their win streak rolling for a fourth straight week, and where the Giants lost for a fourth straight week. I think it's safe to say that the only thing these two teams have in common right now is that neither is in a position they expected to be in at the start of the season. Dan, will the Kansas City Chiefs make the playoffs this year?
Absolutely. Mitch is actually going to help me prove my point here. Mitch told me that 75% of teams that start the season 3-0 end up making the playoffs.
I did tell you that today.
Currently, we have 8 teams. Going into this week, we had 8 teams that were 3-0, which means 6 of the 8 are going to make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
In my mind, Kansas City has a better chance to make it than not to make it. I think they have the intangibles around them. They have the players. And, I mean, especially when you're playing against teams, I mean, the Giants, this was just not fair today.
Yeah.
This was just, that was embarrassing for New York. But more importantly, the Chiefs are playing good football. I mean, they're 4-0 now. And yes, we've seen teams in the past have hot starts and cool off, but this just doesn't seem to be the case. They are playing really well.
Well, Dan, like you said, 75. Like I told you, 75% of the teams that start 3-0 make the playoffs. There's 8 teams, like you said. But when you look down that list of 8 teams, who do you think's going to choke more? Denver, or do you think Kansas City would choke more? Seattle or Kansas City? Miami or Kansas City? Now, granted, Miami's probably going to choke before Kansas City will, but Kansas City and Miami are the bottom 2 teams of that list of 8 who will probably choke and not make the playoffs. They will hold the curve true at 75%. I don't think Kansas City makes it in this year.
I still think they have a better chance to make the playoffs, being in the division that they're in and having been irrelevant for so long, that this is a team that plays
The
in
division?
a spot.
You think they're going to win the division?
Not win the no, absolutely
So
not.
you're just saying
they
the
will be a
conference
wild
more
card.
than- so
I'm
the
saying that their
conference.
conference schedule, their division schedule is
Okay.
more favorable to making the playoffs, which is why I think in 12 weeks, 13 weeks from now, we'll be talking about them playing January football.
All right, fair enough.
Mitch, the 0-4 Giants are just in a bad
Abysmal?
state right now.
They
Yeah,
are
very
reeling.
bad right now.
Reeling.
Who has a more likely chance to not be on the Giants next year, Tom Coughlin or Eli Manning?
Mark it down right now. Both of those men will be on the team next year. There's no way.
Absolutely.
There's no way they're getting rid of Eli
Absolutely
Manning.
not.
There's no way they're getting rid of Eli Manning.
You're telling me if this season continues on this track that both of them will be there
No,
next
because
year?
I have full confidence that Tom Coughlin, a very good coach, two Super Bowl rings on his hands, is going to turn this team around, and they will get back at it. There's not a doubt in my mind. They will not make the playoffs. They will get themselves to a respectable enough record that he can save himself by saying, hey, look, I've won 2 rings. We're good.
Now, Mitch, you know, Matt, you know, everyone knows, I do not like the NFC East, and I think it's a very
I
it's
thought
a
it was
chump
your favorite
change.
division.
It's a chump change
It's a
division.
weird division
It's
every
a
year.
very, very non-competitive division at this point. The Giants being 0-4, it just proves that they are not a regular season team. This is a team that squeaks into the playoffs at 9-7 and then pulls off magic against top-ranked teams. And when
So
you start
doesn't that make them
0-4,
a top-ranked team? They got to be
Absolutely
the
not.
top. They have to be the top
Because
6
for
in their
17
conference
weeks-
to make it in, don't you?
Which one's leaving, though? Or
Neither of them
you?
are leaving.
Neither.
Neither of them are
I
leaving.
think if this season continues on the track it is, even if they split their last 12 weeks, end up being 6-10,
He
that's to
still
go
stays.
500 the rest of the
He
way.
still stays.
Coughlin's out. I think
Nope.
Eli gets at least one more year, but there's no way that Coughlin
They would
stays
never shed
in
Eli's
this
contract.
scenario.
Why did they get rid of
Absolutely not.
Coughlin, though?
You look to coaching. That's your answer, and you've seen this in multiple organizations throughout. Look at the change Kansas City has made with their whole new thing. Look at Philadelphia and their new campaign.
The Giants-
This happens with coaching changes, and it sometimes makes a difference. In Tennessee, Jake Locker, until today, unfortunately, was playing like a new quarterback, finally starting to develop. You have to give props to the quarterback. He has the weapons around him, but the scheme and the offense that they're running isn't working.
No,
Let's
it's a
jump
lack
to
of
Seattle,
execution.
where
Okay.
they're still kind of in their new phase.
Yep.
Pete Carroll, Russell
Yep.
Wilson. The visiting Seahawks used their vaunted defense to come from behind and force overtime against the Houston Texans in Houston today. Russell Wilson and the offense finished off the Texans to give Seattle the first 4-0 start in franchise history. Matt, after the Texans lose at home after they were winning by so much, is Matt Schaub still the guy?
Absolutely, Matt Schaub's still the guy. Look, they're not going to transition to their backup midseason. It's not going to happen. However, is it time to start looking into the draft to find a successor to him? Absolutely. Matt Schaub is getting up in there in age. He's 33 now. You've seen him have the good years with Houston. Him and Andre Johnson have seemingly been there forever. As you
still
can
at the
see,
same way he's
he
playing?
can still make the throws. You saw that deep seam route to his receiver Graham right there. He can still make the throws. Is it time to start looking for his replacement? Yes, that's for sure. However, that was a very bad pick, the game-sealing interception. He was going to make some mistakes against Seattle's defense. Everyone knew that coming in. Is it time to replace him outright? No. Is it time to look for his future replacement? Yes.
I think replace is a really tough word. Phasing out.
Yeah,
Like you
okay.
said, phasing out, that needs to happen because Matt Schaub's not the guy. There were reports of people burning Matt Schaub jerseys after it because he blew that game in one pass. You let Seattle have life, game over. And I think for Houston, playing in the same division as Indianapolis dismantled the 49ers last week.
But Houston's been a playoff contender for the past few years.
Absolutely.
And they still
but
are.
now they're already on the downslope of that, and they have nothing to show
They're
from that.
still a playoff
you
contender.
put them in the playoffs, though. They are the anti-Giants. You see the Giants struggle in the regular season. All of a sudden, they're in the postseason. Oh, well, let's just beat the Patriots twice in 5 years.
So winning the division every year doesn't mean anything?
Winning the division, no, not necessarily in the NFL. In MLB, when you talk about sports where there's a critical wild card game, yes. But if you can win your division, you still have to play in wild card weekend.
They won
It'd
a
be the
wild
three.
card weekend with TJ Yates. Is he the answer?
No. I think it's.
Exactly.
I think
That's
you have
what
to look
said.
to the draft class you need to
They're
build
not
up
gonna
from here.
replace him right now. They're going to
You can't
phase him
replace
out.
him right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But you need to start thinking about the future because he's not the
Oh
guy.
yeah, they're going to. It's the appropriate time. He's getting up there in age. Look what happened with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Brett Favre got up in there in age.
Well, Aaron
They
Rodgers
drafted
is
him.
an exceptional case. You look
Okay,
at what
but
he's
still,
been doing.
it's what you
and
aim
even then,
for
Green
every
Bay's
time.
not playing exactly their greatest football at this
Yeah,
point
but
in the
Aaron
season.
Rodgers is.
He's scary when he's
Okay,
when he's
so
yeah.
that's the thing. You look to replacement, have him learn under Schaub for a year or two. Bang, bring him in. There you go. You're good.
Johnny Football.
Dan-
Johnny
Dan-
Football.
They won't be
Dan,
that high in the
football?
draft.
Dan, is Russell Wilson going to go to the Super Bowl with his Seahawks this year?
Everybody knows that I am a big proponent of these Seahawks and of the city of Seattle as I wear my rave green and my blue here for the Sounders.
That's cute.
It is cute. I'm cute, thank you.
Diva.
I'll take that. But looking at Russell Wilson, he has what it takes to do here. In Seattle, it's not necessarily about the offense. This is a team that can win with their defense, and we saw it today. Richard Sherman, that pick 6 on Schaub.
That's not
that
Russell
changed-
Wilson.
Yeah, their
Mitch.
deep.
Right,
their
that's not
defense-
changing it,
their
but if you
defense-
look at-
their defense gave up 20
But
points.
he is good enough to get them there because he doesn't necessarily, he has to be like Kaepernick.
Okay.
The 49ers defense is what got them there. Wilson has to be a game manager, not necessarily a game
The
changer, and I
first
think he's that
touchdown was scored by the Seahawks, offense or defense today, was scored with 7 minutes and 54 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter
good. Did they win the game?
because of an epic collapse by Houston. Congratulations.
Good teams win the games they're supposed to. Great
You-
teams win the games they aren't.
Well, I'll tell you about a good team. They have a stampede running through Mile High Stadium right now. Denver Broncos, they beat the
Woof.
Philadelphia Eagles 52-20
Woof.
today. Peyton Manning had another 4 touchdown passes, and he's still red hot. Dan, are the Broncos going to run the table and meet the Seahawks in the Super Bowl?
I think so. My preseason prediction originally was that it was going to be New England. I'm not entirely convinced that New England is as strong of a team as it was. We still have to wait to see when Gronkowski comes back, when you get Ridley back, when you get these options back there, Amendola. These are the guys they need, but I think that Denver's only big challenge is going to be New England. You see, New England was just up a couple minutes ago, 13-10 on Atlanta.
You were just telling me how great Kansas City was 10 minutes ago.
They're a playoff team.
Oh,
The
so
question
wouldn't
is,
play-
are they a playoff
so,
team?
Denver's
so-
this good right now, and they're missing pieces on their defense.
Yeah, they're missing their 2 best defensive Champ Bailey and Von Miller. Von Miller doesn't come back till week 7. Champ Bailey's still unknown.
A
You get
defense
those-
is a collective unit. An offense can be impacted by one player. You take away Peyton Manning, this is not a playoff
Okay,
team.
so you add 2 important pieces to your collective unit. Doesn't your collective unit
You
automatically
look around the
get
league,
better?
it isn't necessarily about one player defensively. You look at the Bills today, their secondary completely depleted. 5 interceptions on reigning Super Bowl champion
I'll
MVP
tell you-
Joe Flacco.
I'll tell you an
Mitch,
instant
you
spark.
gotta-
This guy right here, Trendon Holiday, absolute fire and a lightning
Electric.
rod.
Mitch, who beats the Broncos?
There is one team who beats the Broncos, the Denver Broncos. There's nobody who touches them
Now
this year.
that just doesn't make sense.
Their only way they lose is if they beat themselves by penalties and mistakes. That's the only way they lose.
That's fair. I
Peyton
don't
Manning-
think
Peyton
this is
Manning
the
has too
NFL.
much.
Any given Sunday, anything can happen. I don't think that you can say Denver's completely unbeatable. You can say that
they
have,
are completely unbeatable.
You can say
look
that
at-
they are
okay,
very, very good at
Here's
football.
how I know they're completely unbeatable. Last undefeated team to make it to the playoffs was, quick,
Last,
07
New England.
Patriots,
New England,
right?
yes.
07 Patriots had 148 points, and Tom Brady had thrown 13 touchdowns and 2 picks through week 4. Want to know what Denver's doing? They have 179 total points, and Peyton Manning has thrown 16 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Denver will make the playoffs undefeated this year.
Wow.
Between Kansas City, New England, and
They
Kansas
will
City in a
lose.
3-week stretch
They
in
will
November,
lose.
they will lose one of those
They
3.
will not
15
They have to
and
go-
1.
Absolutely not.
Will they become the first team since the Dolphins in 1972 to win the whole thing undefeated?
That hurts my heart. That hits me heavy in my soul. Yes, they will.
They will be 18-1. They will lose one game in the regular season.
Absolutely not.
Roll.
Where do they
will
lose?
not.
Where do they lose?
I
In
told you,
Arrowhead?
In Arrowhead, one of the two games against Kansas City or New England. They have those November 17th, November 24th. And
Denver
what
is
December
just
1st
better
then?
than Kansas City.
That
They
is
won't lose to Kansas City.
We're going to
in
go to break,
Arrowhead.
but
They
when we
won't.
come back,
in Arrowhead.
wrong.
we're going to take a look at the MLB playoff picture. Stick with us. You're watching The Playing Field. I think you.
This bull elk and his cows now share the woods in a good many areas with a species that was almost designated as the national symbol of our country, the wild turkey. Because the young turkeys are a prey species for several predators, including the lynx, they've developed the ability to fly within the first 2 to 3 weeks of life. Remember, however, that it's habitat that's the key to keeping our rich and varied wildlife.
I'm Linda Cohn. I graduated from Oswego way back in 1981. And my favorite TV station way back then? Of course, WTOP.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties. Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties. 315-343-5005.
And the Lakers oust Cortland 50 to 98-20. Something like that.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles. Everybody bring it in. I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out. How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork? I help keep kids in school. Good. And that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
Cleveland Indians clinched the first wild card spot today in the AL. Or the first in the AL. I said that right.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Good
The
job.
Indians will face the winner of tomorrow night's matchup between the Texas Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. So there's a playoff game for a playoff game. The winner of that game gets to travel to Cleveland. The winner of that game goes to Boston and faces the Red Sox in a best-of-3 ALDS.
Yeah,
Dan, who gets the
exactly.
final wild cards? Who gets the final wild card slot and goes to Cleveland?
I got lost somewhere around Louisiana.
That's what it looks like.
I look at this and I think that the Rays get this spot, and I think it's a tough break for the Rangers, but they've been out of this on the outside looking in just until yesterday. But you know what? I think the Rays get it, but I think the team to watch here is Cleveland. They've won 10 in a row. I mean, from games 153 through 162, reeling them off, and going into today, that was a must-win for them because you know what? If they lose, they have to play a team. Winner goes to face another team who then goes and faces the winner of the first game. It just is a mess. I think that the team to watch here is Cleveland going into Boston. Boston finishing 97 and 65. Great year for them. But I think that the Rays get that final spot. Indians win the wild card game.
I like what you said about Cleveland being the team to watch. You're absolutely correct, but there's another team that's quietly on fire. The Texas Rangers have won 8 in a row to force this one-game playoff. Here they are right now, clinching this one-game playoff spot against the rival LA Angels.
Who have not been good this year.
Yeah, they
That's
haven't been
true.
good
They haven't
since
been
they
that good.
decided to spend money,
All right,
Yeah.
so the thing is, the game is in Texas. The one-game playoff is in Texas.
which is the only thing that's a problem for the Rays.
The Rangers are pitching Martin Perez, their rookie pitcher. He went 10-5 this year. And the Rays are pitching their ace, David Price. Although he did have a down year, he went 9-8. The Rangers win this game at home. I'm sorry. Adrian Beltre, Giovanni Soto, they power this offense. They win the game. You're right, though. Cleveland will stop the Rangers. Cleveland is the team to watch.
Well, then I got to ask you,
Yep.
looking on the other side now, just I hate to go off topic here,
The
but I want
NL
to just
or-
take a look at the NL
Okay,
just for
yep.
a second.
Sure.
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that game? Because I know where I'm sitting as a St. Louis fan watching these two battle out and come all the way up. Who wins this game in Pittsburgh?
I thought I was the host.
You probably want,
I got to ask.
as a
them.
fan,
I'm
you
curious.
want Cincinnati to win. They just lost Latos for the playoffs. Huge, huge. I think that's why Pittsburgh wins. I think Pittsburgh wins, and Pittsburgh moves on to face St. Louis.
Oh, boy. But therefore, I have to agree with you. The NL's a little more set.
Yeah.
What else do we got on the AL?
Well, I mean, Rays happens,
Yep,
and then
sure.
and then Cleveland happens,
Yes.
and then Red Sox happens. So who
Yes.
goes and plays the Red Sox?
Cleveland. Cleveland goes to plays the Red Sox. Terry Francona leads the Tribe back up into Boston, and that should make for a very, very good series, actually.
The Rays have Price. The Rangers have Darvish. I mean that.
And Price is being used today, so if they win, they do not have Price for Cleveland.
Right.
Darvish isn't being used, but baseball, one game is anything. One game, I mean, it's more up in the air than any other sport, I believe.
Who's Cleveland pitching?
I looked that up and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
You know, I don't think
Masterson is pitching for Cleveland.
Oh, okay. Justin
Okay.
Masterson?
Now, does that change your opinion on who wins that game, or is it still Cleveland?
Cleveland still wins that game.
Okay.
Cleveland's Masterson.
Even if
Cleveland-
it's the Rangers and they'll pitch Darvish.
Yeah, Cleveland still wins that game.
Okay.
Now, here's my thought process looking at the other side of that. I think that Cleveland still wins this game. I'm with Mitch on that one. I don't want to even speculate. I think the Red Sox are going to win there. Detroit, Oakland
That's a great
is
series.
my concern. Winner of that, I think, represents the AL. I think that's your team that goes to the World Series.
Who
'cause I
represents the
don't-
NL?
Representing the NL? That's even worse because I have no idea. Atlanta
Are
battling
you
with the
thinking with
Cardinals
your
for
head or
best
are you
record.
thinking with your heart?
Well, no, because if I'm thinking with my head, it would say St. Louis having the best record
Oh,
in the
God.
NL.
That's your heart.
It's like you and the
But
Dolphins.
if you take a look, Atlanta's
phenomenal.
dangerous.
They are.
The Dodgers, if they had been playing the
the
first half
Dodgers
the way
are
they
on
played the
fire.
second half, the Dodgers would be in possession of that, and they'd probably have a 100-win season. At this point, I think the Dodgers handle the Braves. I think that the Pittsburgh-St. Louis series is going to be much tougher. I'm guessing you see Pittsburgh play against the Dodgers. Dodgers go to the World Series.
Yeah, I was about to say, I like what you said about the A's
and
Detroit
notice
series.
I left St. Louis out there.
Yeah,
St. Louis losing
I'm
to
proud of you.
Pittsburgh.
That must have hurt.
It hurts.
I know.
It hurts so bad.
I like what you said about the A's Tigers series. Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, and Prince Fielder and Cabrera are just too much to handle. Detroit actually goes all the way to the World Series, and they do play the Dodgers. I like what you said there. You're correct.
When we come back, we're going to jump into college football and find out if USC was smart in
still
firing
think
Lane
Oakland's
Kiffin.
beating Detroit.
You're watching The Playing Field on WTOP.
A survey done by the Lifestyle Center found that 58.2% of Studio Oswego students believe that the typical student consumes alcohol daily. In actuality, it's only 0.7%.
Hey, did you want to come out to that party with us tonight?
No, thanks, I'm good. What about late night?
Yeah, let's go.
Great.
Overcoming misconceptions. Now that's style. This message was brought to you by the Lifestyle Center. For more information, visit oswego.edu/lifestyles.
Always here for you. $50 menu every day, only at McDonald's. These leaves are a little gauge.
G-Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me back.
You can figure out Jody's gonna
Hey, did you tell your parents about us? Let's skip first period together. Did you get all my texts? Is practice over yet? Where are you at? Are you with your friends? That's LAAAAMMEEE. Capital X, lowercase o, capital X, lowercase o. I love you. JK. I hate you. JK. Are you ignoring me? We're in a huge fight right now. Is this something I did? I can see your lights on. I'm coming over. What'd you dream about? Me? I'm lonely. Holla back. Holla back. Let's try something new. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
stretch of the playing field. I'm still Matt Bishop, and I'm joined by Dan I and Mitch Lamb.
I'm still Dan I.
I'm kind of Mitch Lamb.
The University of Georgia Bulldogs pulled off a big win in the SEC yesterday by beating LSU 44-41 in the last 2 minutes of play. Staying in the SEC, Alabama beat Ole Miss 25-0. Mitch, is Georgia going to be the biggest threat for Alabama the rest of the way?
Georgia is the biggest threat to Alabama the rest of the way. They are led by a veteran quarterback, Aaron Murray, who you're going to see on this highlight because he played out of his mind against LSU, 297 yards and 4 touchdowns. They also have a pair of running backs, Gurley, who you just saw, and Marshall, who also ran for 100 yards. They average 6+ yards a carry. That's huge. A balanced offense can hurt Alabama's defense. If you look, that's how Texas A&M put up all those points. Even though it was from one person, it was still balanced.
Did Texas A&M win?
Ha-ha.
Hey, that was still a threat, was it
Did
not?
they win?
Was it still?
Did they win?
Was it still?
Did
a
they
threat?
win?
You just asked me if there was a biggest threat if they weren't going to win. You didn't ask me if they were going to win.
The biggest threat
Winning
is going to beat
everything in
Alabama.
college football.
The biggest threat is going to be the
Winning
team
is
that can
everything.
beat Alabama.
One loss, and you're almost out of the conversation here.
Yeah.
You're correct. Georgia has that one loss, and they're not out of the conversation.
Because they're in the SEC.
You're
They're that team.
forgetting a little team from up north. Ducks fly together, if that means anything to you.
Are we talking
and
about
I will
hockey?
tell you, no, we are not talking about
okay.
hockey,
I'm
but
sorry.
we're talking about a different kind of Ducks.
Okay.
The Oregon Ducks. That is a team that is a significant threat to Alabama because of the offensive style that they run. It is unlike anything in the SEC, which is a very run-heavy offensive scheme. You look at that, it's run first, pass second. Not exactly
Are you
what
sure
we
it's run first, pass second now?
It's supposed to be in
sure?
the SEC. What we saw from Murray and Mettenberger this game between LSU and Georgia was a little bit of a difference. Alabama's defense is too good for anyone that has to rely on a run game to get things going and open up the pass. You need to have
They
the
didn't have
pass
to rely
game.
on a run game.
You
They
need to
didn't rely
have the
on a run
pass
game.
game. They haven't played Alabama.
Georgia did not rely on a run game.
Now,
If
I'm
you
not
watch
saying that
game,
they did.
Okay.
I'm saying that Alabama's defense forces you to rely on having a pass attack without a run attack because their front four will cut you down and you will not be able to have a run game.
Okay,
Oregon runs the kind of offense where you can have a team come in and face something that Alabama has not seen before.
Is Oregon the only threat that Alabama has?
I think so.
So they won't have a threat. They won't have a
Georgia.
threat until the national championship game then.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I think you
but
look at Georgia.
what you-
Georgia is very good. Georgia's only loss coming to number 3 Clemson,
Yes.
which makes Clemson look that much better now that Georgia has
Which makes
beaten
Georgia look
South
that
Carolina.
good because they played them down to the wire,
I think that
35-38.
Clemson can be a threat. I don't think they're necessarily there yet. I think Georgia, not the threat yet because Alabama eats SEC teams alive.
Okay.
Ole Miss, number 21 in the country, 0 points.
They're number
0.
21 in the country because the conference they play in. They're not that strong of a team. Alabama
0.
did not score a touchdown till the third
0.
quarter.
0
Alabama
points.
didn't score
We're
a
going to take
touchdown
one
till the
last
third
break.
quarter.
When we come
What?
back, I promise
What?
we'll talk about Lane
No.
Kiffin. Be right
Not
back.
fair.
The playing field.
I had you on the ropes.
No, you didn't.
Everyone has friends. There's online friends, friends to go out with on a Saturday night, friends to hang out with and do nothing, friends who show up on moving day. And then there are the friends who'll be there if someone is dealing with a mental illness. Are you one of those friends?
Hi, I'm Al Roker, class of '76, Oswego State University. You're watching WTOP, Channel 10. We didn't have this when I was in school. We just had radio and smoke signals.
Attention students and faculty. Avery Rental Properties is now renting for the next school year. Avery accommodates all group sizes, small or large. Avery Rental Properties. Make our house your home. 24-hour maintenance, garbage removal, snow removal, and off-street parking. Avery Rental Properties. 315-343-5005.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles. Everybody bring it in.
I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out.
How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork?
I help keep kids in school.
Good.
And that's the name of the game.
My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
Welcome back to the playing field. The bigger story in college football yesterday and college football today came out of USC. Lane Kiffin is fired after 4 years with the team. The firing came after the Trojans lost to Arizona State 62-41 last night. Dan, was this the right move for USC?
Yeah, it had to happen. They got thrashed last night.
They did.
I mean,
That was not the first time it's happened to Lane
it's not.
Kiffin.
Now they're 3-2, and this is a team that had the potential. They're talking about their recruits pulling away because they don't trust the program. He wasn't running the right program that USC wants to have to be competitive at a top 25 level. It's got to change. There's got to be a change there, and I think that Lane Kiffin just wasn't the answer for this team. I mean, you feel bad for the guy, you feel for him, but at the same time, football, even at the NCAA level, is a business, and you need to treat it as winning is the priority, because in this, winning is everything. Their 2 losses, USC is way out of the picture to even be close to a bowl game appearance at this point because they were just so horribly beaten in those 2 losses.
You make it to 500 in college football, you're in a bowl game, so they're not out of the picture. They're 2-2 right now. So that's
3-2.
Okay, so even better. More to my point, they're 3-2.
Fair enough.
Mitch, what's next for Lane Kiffin?
He will get a job.
Where?
Some program is going to hire him.
NCAA, or is he going to jump to the NFL?
I believe he'll stay in the NCAA. He had a very good year at USC, 11-2. He can send them all that tape. He will find a job. There's no doubt about it. My thing is, you're right. It is the right move. It was the wrong time. The way they went about it was completely wrong. Pat Hayden and the other USC officials decided in a room at the stadium during the 3rd quarter to fire him. They told the bus driver to leave the airport without him. This was done completely wrong.
Absolutely.
Switching, I am for change. Change is great. Change mid-season at the head coaching level is wrong because you bring in somebody else. You're going to start their program. You're going to be in shambles. USC is going to be shaky at best.
Jack Del Rio. Watch for him.
Let's move on to my favorite part of the show,
Oh, boy.
rapid fire.
Fastest minute television.
Who makes the playoff first, the Browns or the Bills?
Bills.
The Browns.
Miami Heat did the right thing by extending head coach Eric Spoelstra.
Absolutely, as long as they kept around Pat Riley.
Can't argue with that. They win.
14-team NFL playoff format is good for football.
It's good for their wallets, not good for competition.
Makes the 1 seed that much more important. Good move.
Staying with that, should the NFL put a team in London?
Absolutely not. It's the National Football League, not the International Football League.
National Basketball League, Toronto. I say go for it.
Well,
No, too far away.
Can they go to Canada?
Association. Not
Go
league.
to Canada. Don't go to.
Steelers win
away
less
from
than 4
Canada.
games this season.
Happens.
I
Book
say
it.
they get
3.
6.
3-13. Knock my mug.
6-10.
Bruno Mars was a good pick for the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh,
It's
yes.
phenomenal.
Great play. I can't wait to watch now. I don't even care about the game.
Did Dan fill in nicely for Stone, who was out sick tonight?
No, this was garbage. This was an easy win. Good people win the
I'm
arguments
hurt.
you're supposed to win, and
I'm
I
hurt.
won.
I'm absolutely hurt, Mitch. It was fun.
It was fun.
I enjoy being behind the camera, so we'll see what happens next week.
What happened with the Sounders tonight?
Sounders 1-1 draw at home against Red Bull New York. Okay, still top of the West. Watch for them in the MLS.
I'm Matt Bishop.
Boom,
This
boom,
is
clap.
Dan I. This is Mitch Lamb. This has been The Playing Field. We'll be back here next Sunday night at 11 o'clock on WTOP.